Turbo and 2K show.
What's up, 2K crew? It is that time of the week again. Hope everyone had a fantastic week. Hope everyone had a fantastic Labor Day weekend. We've got some big news. Where the hell is 2Ks? We're going to get into that. But man, we've got a whole slew of things to talk about and a lot of really, really good news, as well as kind of getting into some, I guess if you're a Michigan State fan, it's not such a great news headline or news day, but or a Bears fan or a Steelers fan or a lot of fans around the NFL and around the college football landscape. But we're going to dive all into that. So if you are on YouTube or watching live over on Facebook, welcome. Thank you for taking time to drop in, even though the Cowboys and Giants are kicking off momentarily. Or if you're still on the baseball train, the Giants and Rockies are playing on ESPN, so I'm not sure who in the hell wants to watch that, but I do appreciate each and every one of you stopping in to say what's up. Speaking of which, if you are watching live, go ahead and drop in whatever platform you're on, drop me a comment, say hi. If you are on Facebook, I did post a link in the comments. Click that link so that my live streaming software can actually pull up your name and your profile picture so it doesn't look like this. Facebook user. Even though that's Kyler Thornburg. Kyler, what's up, brother? Says Lions are king, Bears are bad. Tuck is still coming. Yeah, it is a bad time for Bears fans, that is for sure. We're looking very, very good at getting that number one overall pick yet again. So I know it's just week one. It's just week one. So it is going to be it is going to be something that if we're Bears fans, we're used to it. We're used to it. But yeah, let's like I said, thank you. Hit that subscribe button, hit the like button. If you guys are on the audio side, our unsung heroes of the whole 2K crew, go ahead and give us a follow. Give us a big old like, so that shoots us up the rankings for the Sports Talk podcast. So all is much appreciated. All is much appreciated. And if you guys are feeling extra saucy, go to buyturboabeer.com. You can buy 2Ks and I a beer, and you can help support the show financially. And you can also sign up for my weekly blog that I do. And just any and all support is absolutely awesome, guys and gals. Well, we do have another comment from the Facebook group here. It says, what's up, Turbo? Go Lions. But as a football fan and a fantasy football fan, I must say that the Lions didn't win. The Chiefs lost. We'll take the W for sure, but I believe that with Kelsey and a healthy defense, the Chiefs would have beat us by 3 touchdowns. The Lions had terrible clock management in the first half. We are playing not to lose rather than playing to win. Obviously, things worked out in a non-typical same old Lions finish, which I love. With that said, it's early in the season. I love golf. Go Lions, but we are very fortunate. And that is from Justin Ross. What's up, brother? What's up, brother? Good to see you, man. Long time no see. Kyler also says here, hey, how many stars will it take to call the Lions America's team the rest of the season? I'm sure Jerry Jones would contradict that, and probably your dad. We're going to jump into any and all of that going forward here tonight. Let's jump into. We're going to start off with college here, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to start off with college. I'm just going to glaze over this because this is not a what this sports show is about. But it is relevant because A, it's here in Michigan, and B, it is going to be a big deal. This is from Barstool Spartans. Breaking: Michigan State has fired Mel Tucker. All that I'm going to say about that is it was a sexual harassment allegation. So something to keep an eye on if you are a Michigan State fan. It is rather unfortunate with the way that he's kind of rejuvenated things after the last regime. But that's pretty much all I'm going to say about that. Just wanted to bring it up. Not going to get too in depth with it. Here's the new AP poll, guys. Guys and gals, Georgia 1, Michigan 2, so nothing changed there. Florida State jumps all the way up to 3, Texas to 4, USC to 5, Ohio State drops to 6, Penn State up to 7, Washington to 8, Notre Dame jumps to 9, and Alabama falls to 10. And I'm let's just call a spade. Michigan took care of business with their game, so kudos to them. They won when they should have. But yeah, pretty much. I mean, obviously, game day was there. Pat McAfee was there. So if you guys or gals had the opportunity to watch the simulcast over on ESPN2 with Pat and his crew, absolutely electric as always. So I have a feeling there's going to be a handful more of those. So I can't wait for those. But what a game! What a game! Alabama, Texas. Coach Sarkisian comes in to Alabama, rips a win away, and you could honestly say that if you watched from halftime on, you really watched the vast majority of the game. So I mean, it is, even though the score was kind of is not indicative of how Texas really just dominated that whole entire thing, at least in my opinion. So yeah. This was probably the worst Nick Saban team I've seen in quite a long time. And honestly, 2K crew, you could argue that with a healthy Ewers last year, Texas would be 2-0 against him. And that would have been Alabama's third loss last year, which wouldn't even come close to the college football playoff, even though they weren't in it anyway. But there was still the clamoring that because it's Saban, and yes, they had 2 losses, and he came out with his big, to do about it, ripping a huge promo, trying to get his team in there, but ultimately was left out, and rightfully so. But this Texas team, there's been a lot of folks, a lot of clamoring, is Texas for real? Is Texas for real? And I firmly believe so. We saw great defense on both sides, actually. But yeah, the middle of the third quarter, someone just threw a whole bunch of gasoline on it and lit it on fire because, wow, DBs weren't covering anybody, and both those quarterbacks are kind of putting on a show. But Ewers he was the story. And you talk about great deep balls down the field. I mean, just an absolute all-time performance. Does this mean that Alabama's dead? You can make an argument that yes, like I said, it was supposed to go down, that Alabama was going back to this 12 formation, ground and pound, beat you on defense, and I really don't think they have the athletes to do that right now. Yes, I know it's their second game. However, this was a big game. This was a big game. And especially when you have an ex-coordinator from the Saban tree come into Alabama and do it the way they did, I mean, it wasn't even close. It was at halftime, but then, it just started rolling. And just when, and I was watching the game with my wife, shout out Kristen, and I was like, yeah, you watch. Somehow this game's going to be very, very close with 2 minutes to go. Saban's going to pull something out of his ass, and they're going to win by 1 or 2, just like they did last year. But I honestly think that we really saw the absolute importance of a quarterback. If you rewind years and years and years ago, before Tua, before any of the, before Jalen Hurts, we're talking like Greg McElroy and A.J. McCarron. Those guys weren't anywhere near the quarterbacks that are playing in the NFL now. Mac Jones, Tua, Jalen Hurts. I mean, those guys, the A.J. McCarron and, those, kind of cookie cutter, they all look the same. They all played the same for Nick Saban. They had dudes in the backfield like Eddie Lacy, and just that whole crew that just ran right through there. Derrick Henry, Mark Ingram, there we go. That's and we were seeing that Nick Saban defense, there was 5, 6, 7 of those guys drafted in the first couple rounds, and it's just not there. It's just not there. So there is a little, I did pull a screenshot, or where is it? Here it is. I did pull a tweet. This is from Joseph Ramirez at True Sophomore over on X. Did hashtag Notre Dame poison 2 top SEC programs, Kelly at LSU and Reese at Alabama? Meanwhile, Marcus Freeman has cleaned that house and it's a breath of fresh air. Hashtag Go Irish. I know we're not talking about the Irish right now, but this is very prevalent because we're seeing kind of the same kind of mojo going on. The only difference is that Saban's resume is backed up the kind of the we're not panicking quite yet, but those Roll Tide fans aren't going to tolerate losing much longer. And is Saban's seat hot? No, not at all. But we shall see. And on top of that, I watched what was supposed to be a game after that. The USC Stanford game. Wow, that was if Stanford, or excuse me, if USC can find just a little bit of defense, and I completely understand we're talking about a Stanford team that is pretty terrible. I mean, I thought going into the season, this Stanford team was going to be, I'm not going to say the Andrew Luck Stanford or the Toby Gerhart Stanford, but at least look something, at least respectable. This wasn't even respectable. I mean, good Lord, it was 21-0 with like 10 minutes to go in the first quarter, 2K crew, quarter. And on top of that, Caleb Williams had yet to throw a touchdown. Get that? I mean, 21-0. Yes, he ran one in, but he hadn't even thrown a touchdown yet. To me, that is absolutely crazy and asinine. So if I'm honestly sitting right here on September 10th saying that I am more afraid of USC as a Notre Dame fan than I am of Ohio State. I'll put it out there. I'll put it out there to the world. Just watching the speed and the playmakers and everything on that side of the ball, plus add Caleb Williams into it, my dear Lord. Now, the Notre Dame offense isn't a slouch. Their defense is not a slouch. So is it going to be a repeat of last year? Absolutely not. However, it does have me kind of going, ooh, okay, there's a lot of things that Notre Dame has to clean up before we get to that point. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. We've got Central Michigan this week and the big game against Ohio State following. So it's kind of a put up or shut up. And I'm sure that all of the Michigan fans will be joining me in rooting for Notre Dame during that game. So welcome to the bandwagon. There's plenty of room for y'all. So yeah. And let's take a look at that graphic one more time here. 2K crew, where'd it go? AP, there we go. And yeah, Texas jumps up. USC. We touched on Penn State, or no, we touched on Ohio State. Penn State absolutely blew the doors off whoever the hell they were playing. So that is just absolutely crazy. Washington stays pat, and like I said, Bama goes down to 10. And one thing I did want to, I believe, and I did watch a portion of the Colorado game, Colorado-Nebraska. And again, that was kind of a clunker going into halftime as well. And then all of a sudden, Deion and the boys get it rolling. And I'm not saying that Deion and that's kind of the sad part about this 2K crew, is that we're talking about this, we're talking about the Colorado program as Deion's team. Yes, I understand it's the coach. They're led by the coach. I completely get that. However, shouldn't we be focusing more on the players rather than just Deion? I know he's doing stuff that's completely unprecedented, which I am fully behind. I'm a huge fan. I've bought in. I love every single thing that he's doing. It just seems like all of the focus is on him, and maybe that's the way he wants it. Maybe that's the way he wants it. But it is. They were outside of the top 25, I believe. Last week going in, they were 22. They've now jumped to 18, I believe. So they in the conference is winnable. The conference is totally winnable, and I think this team will get better. It's just a fact of we see kind of Shedeur Sanders when he took his helmet off like an idiot. After a phenomenal play, they get the penalty. He goes over to his dad, and he's like, his dad and Deion's like, you can't take your helmet off. You can't do that. He's like, well, Dad, it was personal. It was personal. I'm curious to see if something like that is going to impact a close game and they lose because it's quote unquote personal. It doesn't seem like a very great leader when it's blatantly like that. I don't know. Like I said, I need to get more as far as the team chemistry and the team vibe is concerned. Kyler asked, do you think Colorado is real or just a circus show? I honestly think until they prove otherwise, I think you have to take them for real. I really do. But even though I said it was unprecedented how Deion's doing things, where totally cleaning house, bringing in all of these kids from the transfer portal. We kind of saw old buddy up at MSU do that his first year too. Had a great run with Kenneth Walker III. Kind of made some noise in the Big Ten. So do I think it's similar? Yeah. The thing that Deion's doing that's absolutely blowing I'm kind of, and maybe they do this in other programs as well, but it's the fact that he's bringing in like Warren Sapp. His boy is being mentored by Tom Brady. Now I know that you could get all the best coaches around a complete pile of shit and they're not going to be performing well. But I think it kind of speaks to the character of Deion and how these ex-NFL players are responding and helping and basically being, and Deion said it in one of his interviews with Pat McAfee. He's like, I'm not the best coach in the country, but I'm surrounding myself with the absolute best coordinators and best people to help me. I don't know too many other first time. Yeah, I'm not disregarding everything that he did at Jackson State, but it's a big jump from Jackson State to Colorado, folks. It's a big jump, and for him to say like, "Hey, I honestly don't know everything. I need a team around me to help me be successful." So, Kyler, to answer your question, I do think Colorado is for real, at least for this year. It's going to be, once they hit kind of some better competition, that's when that's going to be a good litmus test. Yeah, well, we don't know who TCU is. We really don't. And there wasn't a lick of defense on either side on either team played during that game whatsoever. We did see a little bit more defense against Nebraska, both sides, Colorado and Nebraska. So I guess it's how they keep building this. I think that's going to be Deion's greatest challenge is how does he recreate this every single week? And Kyler, to your point too, I think getting back to my first point on this is I think he's absorbing that circus to where his players really aren't. And I think that's going to be his challenge all season is balancing this. He kind of went under the radar at Jackson State. Yes, game day went down there. They showed them the love they deserve. Let's be real. But when you're at a Colorado, you're going to get more attention. You're going to get more pub. You're going to get more everything. So, yeah, I'm really, I'm me personally. I'm bought into to Coach Prime. I'm bought in, but I'm more curious to see how he continues this, or if he can. That's going to be the question. That's going to be the question for me. And we just jumped into this and really didn't even touch on where 2Ks is. We had boots on the ground in Chicago, ladies and gentlemen. We had boots on the ground to see the absolute terrible performance by my Chicago Bears. So that's where 2Ks is, and like I said, I'm sure once we get back in the saddle, this is stuff that we'll talk about moving forward. So it's definitely, Kyler, to kind of even further answer your question, it'll be something that obviously we're all going to keep an eye on. But yeah, that's where I'm at with it. That's where I'm at with it. Okay, let me see if there was one other college thing I wanted to touch on here. We all remember I believe it was Miami that started the whole turnover chain thing, and well, it's finally made it to the MAC, ladies and gentlemen. So if you missed this over the weekend, this is from Barstool Gambling. This is actually from Facebook. Akron has a turnover tire that they put over their heads. Never change. #MACtion. I guess that's a very interesting way to do things, but I mean, I guess on a Mac budget, that whole turnover chain turns into a turnover tire. Hopefully that's a bigger tire than like a Prius tire. So yeah, that's I just thought I would throw that in there for old shits and giggles sake. But and while I'm thinking about it, and this is something that if I was a good podcast host, would have already looked into it. But week 3, what kind of matchups do we have here? Week 3, we already talked about Notre Dame Central. Florida State goes to Boston College. Penn State to Illinois. Georgia hosts South Carolina. Alabama to South Florida. And it still seems weird to see Duke in the top 25, but they well deserved. Iowa has Western Michigan. Michigan hosts Bowling Green, and like I said, game day is going to Colorado. Colorado State comes into the number 18 Colorado Bulldogs. Not the most impressive slate here, 2K crew, but it is what it is. It is what it is. For all of you watching, what was your biggest takeaway from the weekend? What was your biggest takeaway? Let's flip sides here and go to the NFL. Ladies and gentlemen, the NFL is here. We had Thursday night football. I mean, if you think about it, we had Thursday night football. We had some Friday night football. We had last night. We had tonight. And we have tomorrow. Let's check some NFL scores here. We already talked about the Packers-Bears. But let's talk about the good side of things. Make this bigger. That's what she said. Let's go with the box score. Packers. Jordan Love in his first opening day debut. First time that a quarterback named Favre or Rodgers hasn't started since like 1937, it seems like. But he goes 15 for 27, 245 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions. I think that's huge. He's helped out a lot by Aaron Jones before he went out. Big shout out to Romeo Doubs having his first 2-touchdown game of his career, I believe. Justin Fields goes 24 of 37 for 216, 1 tud and a pick. And his broke ass can't break 59.5 fucking yards rushing, 9 carries for 59 yards. 2Ks and I did a Bears Cowboys bet, and the hook got us. Yeah, Bears leading receiver was Darnell Mooney, 4 catches for 53 yards and a touchdown. And that's awesome. DJ Moore, the big acquisition in the offseason, 2 catches for 25 yards. 2 targets. And that's awesome. That's awesome. So I think it's going to be a long season in Chicago, ladies and gents. Eagles, Patriots. Eagles come away with a big dub there. Let's check the box score real quick here. Jalen Hurts, 22 of 33 for 170 and a touchdown. That was to Devontae Smith. AJ Brown, 7 catches, 79 yards. Mac Jones, 35 of 54, 316, 3 touchdowns and a pick. I have a feeling that if the Patriots are going to be throwing 54 times every game this season, we're going to see similar results here. Because this Philadelphia Eagles team went to the NFC title game. They're not going anywhere. And it was 25-20. It's not like this game was out of hand quickly. Bryce Young loses his debut, 24-10 to the Falcons. Joey Burrow had just a shit game after signing the largest contract in NFL history. Wow. 14 of 31, 82 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. That's something. I know it was rainy. I know the conditions weren't great. But got to do something better. Got to do something better than that. So, I mean, if you drafted Burrow or Chase on your fantasy team, like I did, probably not looking so hot. Cowboys Giants are tied 0-0 in the first quarter. The Jags go into Lucas Oil for Anthony Richardson's debut, and he goes 24-37, 223 yards, a touchdown and a pick. And I do believe he did have a rushing touchdown as well. Looks like he got kind of banged up towards the end of that game, so hopefully he's okay. Trevor Lawrence 24-32, 241 yards, 2 touchdowns and a pick. ETN adds 1 on the ground. Calvin Ridley had a huge return game, 8 catches for 101 yards. 101 yards and a touchdown. Was the first touchdown in my fantasy league, so good on you. Love it. And this is another one that boggles my mind, 2K crew. The Bucs go into Minnesota and come away with a 20-17 victory. Kirk Cousins, Kurt Two Chains, Kurt whatever you want to call him, 33 of 44, 344 yards, 2 touchdowns and a pick. Justin Jefferson goes 9 catches, 150 yards, does stay out of the end zone. Jordan Addison has his first career NFL touchdown, 4 catches, 61 yards. But the fighting Baker Mayfields. Baker goes 21 of 34, 173, 2 touchdowns. So there wasn't a whole lot of scoring, obviously, in these between these two teams. Let's say that. But yeah, another shocker. Did not expect that. Titans go into the Saints. Saints pull off a one point victory, 16-15. Kind of the big story early. 49ers absolutely destroy the Steelers. They go into Acrisure Field, whatever you want to call it. I've just from the eye test, it looks like Brock Purdy he's all the way back. He's all the way back. And I did pull a couple Steelers tweets here. This one here is some Tone Diggs from the Pat McAfee show. It says, could be worse, Steelers fans. You could be a Bengals fan, and your $300 million quarterback scored 3 points against the Browns. That is very true. And another one here, where'd it go? Here it is. At one point in the game, the total yards for the 49ers was 199-1. NFL memes over on Facebook says, time to check in on the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'll even add the Pittsburgh Steelers fans. So if you are a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, I kind of feel your pain. I mean, Kenny Pickett way outplayed Justin Fields. So maybe that's something you could kind of take into it. But Purdy goes 19 of 29, 220, 2 tuds. McCaffrey adds 22 carries, 152 yards, and a touchdown. Brandon Ayuk, 8 catches, 129 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And let's see, who caught the... Pat Freiermuth caught his only catch, and I did see that he did go out with an injury. 1 catch for 3 yards. And Najee Harris has 6 carries for 31 yards. Which it sounded like this game got out of hand. Yeah, it was 20-7 at half. So yeah, this game got out of hand quickly. So Kenny was throwing the ball probably a lot more than what Steelers fans would have probably liked. Let's keep cruising. Got a couple more to go here. Cardinals, Commanders. Commanders win 20-16. Not even going to jump into that. Texans, Ravens. The only thing I'm really going to... Yeah, let's jump into this one. C.J. Stroud, 28 of 44, 242 yards. Lamar Jackson, 17 of 22, 169 yards and a pick. J.K. Dobbins does get into the end zone, but does rupture his Achilles, so it looks like he's going to be on the shelf for the rest of the year. Kind of sad because it seems like that dude he always comes back and always has this great kind of grandeur about him, and then just gets hurt, So kind of sucks because he is pretty good. Let's see here. Did Eagles, Pats, Raiders, Broncos. Raiders upset the Broncos at home. Russ did have, it seems like, a better game than what he's used to having. At least there was, I'd say at least things were simmering. I'm not going to say he was cooking all the way. Jimmy G goes 20 of 26, 200 yards, 2 touchdowns and a pick. Kind of your standard Jimmy G line. Josh Jacobs, 19 carries, 48 yards. Russ goes 27 of 34, 177 yards, 2 touchdowns. 1 to Cortland Sutton and 1 to Lil Jordan Humphrey. Javonte Williams, good to see him back. He totes the rock 13 times for 52 yards. Let's see here. Let's get to a good game. Dolphins and Chargers. This was, in my opinion, this was one of the harder ones to pick. Because we don't know how, the big question mark about the Dolphins is can Tua stay healthy? Yes, he took jiu-jitsu, he did all this stuff in the offseason. Is it going to help? And on the flip side, we've got the Chargers that Justin Herbert just got his bag. So how is he going to respond? And hopefully, I mean, he did respond just a little bit better than Mr. Burrow. But Tua goes 28 of 45, 466 yards in the air, three touchdowns, 1 pick. Really wasn't a whole lot of run game to had, but Raheem Mostert did get into the end zone. But Tyreek Hill, 11 catches, 215 yards, and 2 touchdowns. River Carracraft catches the other one from Tua. And Herbert goes 23 of 33, 228 yards, 1 touchdown. Austin Eckler, 16 carries, 117 yards, and a tud. Obviously, I mean, judging by the score, 36-34, obviously a close game throughout the whole entire game. If the Dolphins are going to keep this up, I mean, I'm pretty sure we can all agree that this Chargers offense is just, I'm not going to say just as formidable, but they're definitely not just a rollover team. So when you say, well, Turbo, I mean, both defenses gave up over 30 points. True. But both these offenses are absolutely fantastic. So I'm not sure how we can judge the bar on either one of these teams just because, these offenses are so good. But if you're a Chargers fan, I would not be fretting one bit. And if you're a Dolphins fan, you gotta be just, every time Tua drops back, you have to hold your breath because, that guy is your team. And lastly here, before we jump into the main title of the podcast, the Rams go up to the Seahawks. And the Rams win. The Rams win. You look at last year, they were terrible. They were terrible. Stafford goes 24-38 for 334 yards. Geno Smith. Geno got a bag too. Not nearly the bag that Burrow and some of the other guys got, but biggest bag of his career. 16-26, 122 yards and a touchdown. The aforementioned Kenneth Walker III led the way, 12 carries, 64 yards. But this was without Cooper Kupp, ladies and gentlemen. Cooper Kupp's on the whatever that list is where he can't play for the first 4 weeks. So maybe I'm not saying the Rams are back by any means, but the Rams might not be terrible. Might not be terrible. Kind of quick check in the I almost said the Tigers. The Cowboys are up on the Giants 6-0 right now. But let's jump into the Lions at the Chiefs. Lions at the Chiefs. And let me pull up this comment again. It says, "What up, Turbo? Go Lions!" But as a football fan and a fantasy football fan, I must say the Lions didn't win. The Chiefs lost. We'll take the W for sure, but I believe that with Kelsey and a healthy defense, the Chiefs would beat us by 3 touchdowns. The Lions had terrible clock management in the first half. We were playing not to lose rather than playing to win. Obviously, things worked out in a non-typical same old Lions finish, which I love. With that being said, it's early in the season. I love golf. Go Lions, but we're very fortunate. Well, Justin, there's kind of a lot to unpack there, and a lot of things that I will agree on. I'll agree on. One of the main things that I want to start off with wholeheartedly, and yes, I agree having Travis Kelce there would have made a huge difference. A huge difference. And it was only a 1 point game. It was only a 1 point game. And if you follow the line on this, once we learned that Kelce was going to be out of the game, we saw that line move by at least 2 points. At least 2 points. Now that's saying something, considering obviously Travis Kelce, not a quarterback. Usually quarterbacks are the line movers, not a tight end. But we're not talking about a normal tight end. You know, this tight end is actually a receiver. Let's be honest. 2K crew. Let's not beat around the bush. He is a receiver, and he is Patrick Mahomes' go-to. He will lead this team in receiving yards, in catches. So for him to be out, yes, huge hit. The one thing that I took away from this is I'm giving Detroit all their props. Were there some mistakes along the way, Justin? Absolutely. The one thing I was curious about is why Jahmyr Gibbs only got 7 carries. That's the part I didn't understand. Going away from that, it's the thing that I think Lions fans are going to have to get used to is they're going to be this offense is going to be predicated on the play action. That's when Jared Goff's at his best. When that Rams team went to the Super Bowl, him and Melvin Gordon, dude, they were play action beasts. Took that away the following year, Jared Goff stunk. So yeah, that's where he thrives. That's where he makes his money. So to kind of get to they're playing not to lose. That's going to be their game plan going forward. They're not. This team isn't built like the Dolphins. There really isn't that guy to take the top off the defense. Jared Goff doesn't have a huge arm, so they're playing to his and this team's strengths. They've got one of the best offensive lines in the league. When's the last time a Lions fan could say that, or any NFL fan for that matter? The Detroit Lions have one of the best offensive lines in football. So you're going to see a lot of run game. You're going to see a lot of play action. this is kind of the whole clock management thing. Totally agree with that. Totally agree with that. But to get back to my point before I went off on the Lions tangent is I'm more disappointed in Andy Reid. Andy Reid is supposed to be this amazing play caller, have all the tricks in the book, Patrick Mahomes was your leading rusher. Your leading rusher. That should not happen. That should not happen. When you have guys like Isaiah Pacheco and CEH, that's what they're there to do. They are running backs. Give them the ball. Come on now. Come on. Pacheco had more receiving yards than he did rushing yards. And at no point was this game out of hand. No, it wasn't. It wasn't. Going into halftime, the Chiefs were ahead 14-7. So that's my biggest takeaway of this whole entire game is kudos to MCDC and the Lions, but I'm very disappointed in the Chiefs. Very disappointed. But to get back to the the thumbnail here, I think the Lions, out of the Packers, out of the Vikings, the Bears, had the best showing. Had the best showing in week 1. So if you're asking me to pick a team to win this NFC North after week 1, hell yes, give me the Lions. Give me the Lions by a lot. The Bears are obviously done. I'll say it, they're done. The Packers showed signs of glimpses of goodness, I guess, but it's very hard to say how good they are because the Bears are that bad. And the Vikings got beat by the Bucs at home. At home. You can't have that. You can't have that. So this division will come down to the Packers and the Lions. Packers and the Lions, and I wholeheartedly give me MCDC and give me MCDC and the Lions over the Packers. This Lions team will lose some games. Don't get me wrong. And maybe this week 1 was a fluke because of everything we've already talked about. But a win's a win. And they showed they could run the ball. They showed they could pass the ball. They showed they could block the Chiefs. They showed that they could play defense against the Chiefs. So yes, in my honest to goodness opinion, the Lions, as it stands right now, September 10th, are the kings of the NFC. I know I'm not going out on any super tangent or standing on a soapbox here, because there's a lot of folks that are saying it. There's a lot of folks. I just need to see more of Jordan Love and this very young Packers team to actually put my finger on as to how good they actually are. But I think I've got a pretty good litmus test and a pretty good idea of who these Lions are. And they are the brand new Lions, not the same old Lions. Because like Justin said, the same old Lions would have lost this game. There would have been a blocked punt off someone's helmet, and who knows? Because the Lions found more ways to lose games than they found to win. I mean, it's nothing that I'm springing on or should come as a shock to any Lions fans. But I think this is the year where a lot of things turn around. Just to give you some picks on tomorrow night's game, Bills at Jets. We got Buffalo as a 2-point favorite. Let me see, over under at 45.5. We've got 2 great offenses here, but also have 2 great defenses here. And if you put a gun to my head and say you got to pick one, I'm going to smash the over on this one. Kind of traditionally what we've seen even going into the Super Bowl, when you have the number one offense playing against the number one defense, the number one offense usually prevails. And let's be honest, the rules are set and made up for the offense to win. So that 45.5, I think, is going to be blown out of the water. As far as Buffalo, -2. These are two teams that have a lot at stake. A lot at stake. Jets obviously bring in Rodgers, bring in Dalvin Cook. Their offense is laden with weapons. Breece Hall is back. They have the reigning Rookie of the Year. But that Bills front seven is nasty. Josh Allen is nasty. Stephon Diggs is nasty. That Kincaid kid that they drafted as a tight end, Josh Allen says this could be one of the best tight ends in the NFL. The Bills are finally healthy, with the exception of Von Miller. So yeah, give me Buffalo -2, smash the over. Smash the over. And for those of you that did reach out to me and wanted my advice on some picks today, I do apologize because I'm pretty sure I didn't hit any of them. So hopefully whatever you sent me, you faded and went the complete other way. The complete other way. So, well, 2K crew, it's been about an hour. Hopefully we'll have 2Ks back on with us next week, sitting right across the table from me. You can have, you can hear both of us talk for an hour instead of just me. Because I'm pretty sure it gets kind of old just listening to me ramble on. But for those of you that did participate in the chat, thank you. Thank you so much. It does make a solo show go a little bit easier and kind of helps me direct things around, and hell, it's just more interactive. But 2K crew, we'll get you out of here on this. Looks like it's going to be a fantastic week as far as weather's concerned. Everyone have a great week. And as always, Jim Rome, we're coming for you.